Well, I'm at it again. For those who've seen some of the videos I've done on a 600 or 660 Grizzly that has been beaten up, well, this is the same owner. He owns that 660 Grizzly, and he owns this Outlander 6x6. It's a 1000, probably a 215, and he just called me up. He broke the tie rod end completely off, bent the A-arm. I don't think he wants to spend any money on the A-arm, and I think he wants me to see if I can do something with the tie rod end. And the objective here is $0. What can I do to get this thing back up and running? In worst case, we're going to order some parts tomorrow, but this is the objective of this video here today. So here's what we're up against. Bent tie rod, quite significantly bent, and it actually popped out of the joint here, the tie rod end. Not too sure how that normally stays in there, but obviously it popped out, big hit. And you can see here the A-arm has been bent severely. I say severely, but if you look at the other side, it has that bend in it. It's part of the design, but this one here obviously has a kink in it. He has no plans of fixing that right now. So my plan right now is to remove this, to see if we can do some temporary repairs. So let's go ahead and rip this out. So the first thing I'm going to do, actually these two nuts that hold these ball joints, or tie rods I should say, are 19 mils. So first thing I'm going to do is take out the safety cotter pin that's holding these things in. There we go. Kind of figure that would spin. There's probably 17 mil up here, 17 or 18 mil. And it's a 17. There we go. Try to figure out how this sits into the tie rod end afterwards, but for now let's pull the other side out and bring it to the bench, and we'll work with it there. Okay, this is going to be a little tighter to work in, but we'll get it the same. Let's cut our pins out. We pulled out. This is a steering component, and you should obviously not try to repair these and get new parts, but what I will do, once these things bend, you can unbend them. Once they bend, they'll bend again. This is going to cost me a few bucks, but I could fix this temporarily. I can unbend this and probably get another tube put on top, give it a little bit of strength. Like, I mean, this could be temporarily fixed, I guess. This, I don't think so. But we'll take it apart and let's try to figure out how this thing actually comes in and out of this. So I'm going to remove this rubber seal if I can. You can see here it's been beat. It's actually really busted, that seal. So there we go. Remove this. The question is, how does that ball stay in there? Well, it's just pressed in there. That's it, that's all. Just pressed. And it pressed out. So we'll see if we can hammer it back in for the heck of it. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing this on my machine anyway. It's kind of hard to tell, but it does look like there's somewhat of a lip here. So when this thing is probably pressed in and stays in there, you can tell here it was severely put to the side and popped out. So for the heck of it, I'll try to put this back together, and I'll see how hard it is to put back together, and depending on how hard it is, it may give me an indication on how long it's going to last in there. But again, you shouldn't do this, but I'll do it. Don't forget your bushing, because you'll need that. And I don't know what kind of grease would go into one of these joints, but I'll just put a little dab of molly slip type bearing here, bearing grease. Let me get my convincer and convince it to go in. In here like that. So let's see if this goes in. Well, I saw pieces fly. Oh, that's the cap in the back. Actually, this is interesting. So I got it in there. I popped the cap in the back, but that's easily, I can easily add that. Quite tough in there. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this thing back together. I'm going to unbend this, and we'll put it back together so at least he can drive it. And then he can decide how many dollars he wants to spend on parts. But he would need basically a new rod and a new tie rod in. But let's just see what he ends up doing. Let's put this cap back on to start. And that's going back in there really nice, as you can tell. Like at all. Actually, if I do it with a little socket, maybe I'll get a little bit better luck. Let's bring it down here. And this is really a bizarre clip here. I don't think I'm going to succeed in getting this back in there, but I will try. I'll be damned. I did it. Here you have it. I'm pretty impressed, actually. Thought that I would drive my car with a tie rod end like this, but for a four-wheeler that needs to get somewhere, it could get you out of a jam. Who knows? Put this back on. Actually, I'm going to need to bang this bit here because where it bent. Let me do that. Make that round again. There you go. That should help hopefully get this seal back on. And this too could probably go in there with a right size socket. But I'm just going to cut this here probably right now. This video I like cursor this, so maybe not. Let me give one more try here. Okay, I'm going to cut this video and I'm going to get a socket and I'm going to punch it in here. Okay, here it goes. Let's tempt this with this socket here. Ta-da! There, simple as that. Okay, so we have ourselves a rejuvenated tie rod end that I wouldn't trust, but you know what, probably work. So let me work on the alignment, if you will, of this thing here. So here we go. I'm going to try to straighten this out with my vise here. That's all the only thing I have. Straighten this out. So I've gotten this thing as straight as I'm going to get it. It's not perfect and far from being, I guess, perfect, but I want to reinforce it because once these things bend, like I said, they're going to bend again. The right thing is to buy a new one and a new tie rod in. But before he gets that on order, gets it, he may want to ride his ATV. So there's two options I have right now. One is I could even rethread a whole new rod, but I don't have the taps to go on the reverse side of these, but I could weld another rod to this. That would probably look ugly. Anything I'm going to do is probably going to look ugly, but instead I found this tubing, and if I undo the joint, I can get this thing right into it and weld it in there, and that'll give it a little bit of a force. This won't bend anymore, that's for sure, and it'll do the trick until he can get a new rod and a new tie rod in. So let's do that. Now this will change obviously to toe in and toe out, but with a bent A-arm, I don't think this is going to be an issue. But I'll put it right back to where I think it was. So there we go. We have this. Put that back now. So I'm just going to weld that. Tack it there. And obviously I'm only going to tack it because I don't want to weld too much. That probably heat the rod and weaken that end of it, so that ain't going to be good. Change things a bit here. Actually, we're going to tighten this once we get in, because obviously this will we'll set it up once we've got it on the bike. So I'm only gonna tack weld these because if you weld these too much, you'll weaken the metal, and it's already weak enough, and it's going to just be another point to bend here. So I just want to tack it a bit. The main thing will be this will prevent the middle bar of bending, if you will. So here we go. Again, I just want to tackle all these here so that it gives a little bit of strength or holding power here so it doesn't break off, but it doesn't get too hot. It's not bad actually. This will allow me to unbend the last piece of this here. Actually, what I'll do here is I'll this, a little bit of strength, attack it a couple spots here. A little bit more. There. I'm going to call that good. Alright, this is definitely one of the most redneck jobs I've ever done, but you know, it will get this guy out of my jam. He did come in here a few minutes ago actually, and I showed him what was going on and what was required, and he will be ordering parts tomorrow, and whenever they come in, well, we'll put them in. But in the meantime, he's going to be able to go out to his sugar bush and continue with the work he's been doing. So again, I wouldn't consider this repair to be in any way, shape, or form good, but it will definitely do the trick and allow him to use his machine while the parts come in. So I saved you a little bit of pain of you watching me wrench that back in there. The air ratchet didn't fit. So put her in, tighten her up, added the cotter pins, and there we have it. We should have a working steering. Again, not the fanciest looking thing, but it'll definitely work for a day or so until the parts come in, and it'll get them back up and running. So let's put the tire back on and get this thing back to his house. Alright, we're done with our emergency fix. This will get him going for the next day or so until he gets in the parts, and we're done. This video, by the way, will be edited with my iPad using, I think it's called Snip, and it's going to be the first time I use the iPad to do the editing, but we'll give it a try. Hope you enjoyed the video.